3 months after I buried my sister, her number lit up my phone at 2:17 in the morning, and when I answered, someone on the other end whispered my childhood nickname that only she ever used. I dropped the phone like it was on fire. It clattered against my nightstand, screen still glowing, and I stared at it from across the room like it might bite me. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. For a full minute, I didn't move. I couldn't. The name on the screen had been deleted from my contacts weeks ago, but I didn't need a label to recognize those digits. I'd memorized them when I was 12 years old. That was my sister's number.
Sarah.
The sister I'd watched them lower into the ground on a gray Tuesday morning in October. The sister whose funeral I'd organized. The sister whose clothes I'd donated. The sister whose voicemails I still hadn't been able to delete. And now her phone was calling me. My hand was shaking when I finally picked it up. Hello. My voice cracked on the single syllable. Silence. Then a breath, soft, uneven, like someone was crying but trying not to make a sound. And then the whisper. Lily, it's me. I nearly dropped the phone again. Lily. That was what Sarah called me when we were kids. Not my real name, not the name everyone else used. Just Lily. Because when she was 3 and I was 5, she couldn't pronounce my actual name, and somehow it stuck for 30 years. Nobody else in the world called me that. Not my parents, not my husband, not my closest friends. Only Sarah. Who is this? I demanded, even though I already knew the answer was impossible. Who is this? This isn't funny. Another breath. Then, I know you don't believe me. I know this sounds insane, but I need you to listen.
Please.
I don't have much time. I laughed, a sharp, hysterical sound that belonged to someone else.
You're dead.
I was at your funeral. I gave a eulogy. I picked out the flowers. You're dead. I know what you saw. I know what everyone thinks. But I'm not dead, Lily. And I need you to come to Portland.
Tomorrow.
There's something I have to show you. The line went dead. I stared at the phone. The call had lasted 47 seconds. I scrolled to recent calls. There it was.
Sarah.
Her number. But that couldn't be right. Her phone had been lost. We'd all assumed it was somewhere at the bottom of the river. That's what they told us. That's what the police report said.
I didn't sleep that night.
I lay in bed with my phone clutched in my hand, waiting for it to ring again. It didn't. At dawn, I called my brother David. He answered on the second ring, his voice thick with sleep. Lily, it's 6 in the morning. What's wrong? I got a call last night. From Sarah's phone. Silence. Then, what? I know how it sounds.
I know.
But someone called me from her number. They used her nickname. The one only she used. That's not possible. Her phone was destroyed. They never recovered it. I know. I know that's what the report says. But I heard her voice, David. I heard her. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, Lily, grief does things to people. We've both been through hell. Maybe you dreamed it. Maybe I didn't dream it. I have the call log. I have the timestamp. I'm going to Portland. David sighed. I could picture him rubbing his forehead the way he always did when he was frustrated. Portland? Lily, that's 900 miles away. I know. Sarah moved to Portland. That's why she was on that trip in the first place. You're going to what? Drive to the city where she died because you got a weird phone call. Someone called me from her phone, David. Someone who knew her nickname. Someone who knew details about our childhood that nobody else knows. What am I supposed to do? Ignore it. Another long pause. Then, I'll come with you. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. I'm coming anyway. If this is some kind of sick prank, I want to be there when we find out who's behind it. My husband, Marcus, was less enthusiastic. He sat at the kitchen table with his coffee growing cold, staring at me like I'd grown a second head. You're going to Portland because your dead sister called you. I know how it sounds. No, Lily, I don't think you do. You're talking about driving across 3 states to chase a phone call from someone who can't be alive. What if she is alive, Marcus? What if they made a mistake? What if... Stop. He held up a hand. Just stop. Think about what you're saying. You were at the funeral. You identified the body. The coroner gave a report. They did dental records. Dental records, Lily. I sat down across from him. My hands were trembling again. I know all of that. I know it doesn't make sense. But I can't explain what I heard. I can't explain her voice. I can't explain the nickname. I need to find out who made that call. And if it turns out I'm wrong, if this is some elaborate hoax, then at least I'll know. I won't spend the rest of my life wondering. Marcus stared at me for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Okay, but I'm coming with you. I can't ask you to take time off work. Lily, you're my wife. You're not doing this alone. We left the next morning. David met us at the edge of town, his old pickup truck packed with bags and a cooler full of sandwiches. He climbed into our car and gave me a long look. You sure about this?
No.
But I'm sure I need to do it. We drove for 11 hours, trading off behind the wheel. The landscape changed from flat farmland to rolling hills to the dense green forests of the Pacific Northwest. I spent most of the ride staring out the window, replaying the call in my head. 47 seconds. The whisper. The nickname. The words. I'm not dead, Lily. Marcus and David talked quietly in the front seat. I caught fragments. She hasn't been the same since the funeral. None of us have. You think this could be real? I don't know what to think. When we finally reached Portland, the sun was setting. The city was beautiful, all bridges and rivers and old brick buildings. I'd never been here before. Sarah had moved here 2 years earlier, chasing a job opportunity. We talked about visiting, about exploring the city together. We never made it happen. Now I was driving through her streets without her. I'd booked a hotel near downtown, a modest place with worn carpets and a lobby that smelled like old coffee. As soon as we checked in, I called the number. It went straight to voicemail. Sarah's voice. The same outgoing message I'd listened to 100 times after she died, just to hear her say my name. Hey, this is Sarah. Leave a message and I'll call you back. I hung up without leaving anything.
I didn't know what to say.
I got your call. I'm in town. Where are you? It sounded insane. David found a bar around the corner. Marcus and I sat at a table while he ordered whiskey. What do we do now? He asked. I didn't have an answer. I'd gotten this far on adrenaline and blind hope. Now I was in a strange city with no plan and a phone number that refused to answer. The next morning, I started making calls. I called the Portland Police Department and asked if there was any new information about Sarah's case. They transferred me to 3 different offices before I reached someone who could help. A detective named Julie Harrison. She was professional, sympathetic, and entirely unhelpful. Mrs. Bennett, the investigation was closed. There's nothing new to report. I got a call from her phone. 2 days ago. Someone used her phone and called me. A pause. Are you certain it was her phone? Positive. I know her number. I'd recognize it anywhere. Could it have been a spoofed call? Those are becoming very common. Someone can make a call appear to come from any number. I hadn't considered that. But they used her nickname, a name only she used. How would someone else know that? Another pause. I understand this is difficult. But I'm telling you, there's no new evidence. The case is closed. I'm not asking you to reopen the case. I'm asking if you can trace a call. Just one call. I'm sorry, Mrs. Bennett. I can't do that without a warrant, and I don't have grounds to get one. I hung up, frustrated and close to tears. Marcus put a hand on my shoulder. What now? We find another way. David had been working his phone. I called the precinct that handled Sarah's case. They told me there was an officer on scene who handled the initial investigation. A Detective Thomas. He's retired now, but he might still be around. I stood up so fast, I nearly knocked over my chair. Where can we find him? He lives in a town about an hour outside Portland. I got an address. We drove through heavy rain, the windshield wipers fighting a losing battle against the downpour. The house was small, painted a cheerful yellow that seemed out of place in the gray weather. An old man answered the door. His hair was white and thinning, his face lined with years, but his eyes were sharp. Can I help you? I introduced myself, explained who I was, why I'd come, the call, the nickname, the impossibility of it all. He listened without interruption. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Come inside." The living room was cluttered with books and photographs. He motioned for us to sit, then settled into an armchair. "Your sister's case has been on my mind for nearly 4 months now. There were things that didn't add up." "What do you mean?" He leaned forward. "The body we found, it was a match. Dental records, DNA, everything came back positive. But there were inconsistencies. The family who identified her initially, they were distraught. They'd been told it was her. They were looking for her, expecting to find her. It's easy, when you're in that state, to see what you want to see." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying there's a chance, a small chance, but a chance that the identification was wrong. That the body wasn't your sister. That whoever you buried wasn't Sarah." I felt the world tilt beneath me. "But the DNA, I'm not a DNA expert. But I've seen cases where the testing was rushed, where mistakes were made. Your sister's body was in the water for several days. She had no dental records on file. We were working with a partial sample, a degraded sample. It wouldn't be impossible for a mistake to have been made." I couldn't breathe. "If that's true, then where is she?" Detective Thomas looked at me with something like pity. "That's what I've been trying to figure out for 4 months." The rest of the day was a blur. We went back to the hotel. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, while Marcus and David talked in hushed voices. My mind was churning. If Sarah was alive, why hadn't she come home? Why hadn't she called? Why the whisper in the middle of the night? That evening my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered with shaking hands. "Hello." "Lily, you came." Sarah's voice.
Clear this time.
I could hear the exhaustion in it, the fear. "Where are you?"
Please.
"I need to know you're alone." "Are you alone?"
Yes.
"I'm alone." I mouthed to Marcus and David to stay quiet. "Where are you?" "There's a warehouse on the waterfront. 53 Harbor Street. I'll be there at 9.
Please, Lily.
Don't tell anyone. Not the police. Not David. Just you." Okay. I'll be there." "Thank you. I love you." She hung up. My hand was shaking so badly, I could barely hold the phone. Marcus was staring at me. "What did she say?" "Nothing. Just a wrong number." "Lily, don't lie to me." "Marcus, I need you to trust me.
Please.
Just for tonight." He studied my face. I could see the war in his eyes, the urge to protect me battling against the trust he'd built over 15 years of marriage. Finally, he nodded.
Fine.
But I'm not happy about it. I took a cab to the waterfront. The warehouse was old, dark, half-collapsed. The door was unlocked. I pushed it open and stepped inside. The air was cold and damp and smelled like rust. "Sarah?" A figure stepped out of the shadows. Smaller than I remembered. Thinner. But those eyes, I'd know those eyes anywhere. "Lily." I crossed the distance in 3 steps. I grabbed her shoulders, then her face, looking for something, anything that might prove this was real. "It's you. It's really you."
Yes.
"It's me." I couldn't speak. I threw my arms around her and held on like she might disappear. "What happened? Why did they say you were dead?" She pulled away. Her eyes were wet. "Because it was easier to let everyone think I was gone." "I don't understand. The job I took in Portland, it wasn't the job I told you about. It was something different. Something dangerous." She swallowed hard. "They found out that I knew too much. They were going to kill me, Lily. I only had one chance." "Who were they?" "I can't tell you. I can't tell anyone. But I needed to disappear. I needed everyone to believe I was dead." She took my hands.
Please.
"I know what I'm asking. I know you hate me for this. But I'm alive. And I'm going to stay alive. But I need you to go back home and pretend this never happened. Sarah, please. I don't have much time. They can't know I'm here."
Who?
She shook her head. "If you love me, go. Go back home. Tell David you were wrong. Tell everyone you were wrong. And never come looking for me again." I stared at her. My sister. My best friend. The person I'd mourned for 3 months. And now she was asking me to walk away. I can't do that. Lily, I just got you back. You can't ask me to lose you again. Her face crumpled. She pulled me into another embrace. I know.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. We stayed like that for a long time. Then she let go. There's an envelope on that table over there. Inside you'll find everything you need. Money, a letter, an explanation for David. But please read it after you're gone. And remember, I love you. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I had to do this. I nodded. I didn't trust myself to speak. I turned and walked out of that warehouse, clutching that envelope like a lifeline. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I read the letter in my hotel room, alone, while Marcus and David slept. She explained everything. The job offer in Portland had been a cover. She'd actually been working with federal investigators, tracking a criminal network that reached across 3 states. When her cover was blown, she had no choice but to disappear. The body in the river belonged to a woman who died accidentally, whose identity had been scrambled deliberately to protect Sarah. She'd orchestrated the whole thing: the missing phone, the misidentified dental records, the closed case. The letter ended, "Lily, please understand. I did this to protect you. To protect David. To protect everyone I love. I know you'll never forgive me, but maybe one day you'll understand." I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about my sister. The woman I'd grown up with. The woman I'd buried. The woman who was still alive, somewhere out there, running from the shadows. The next day, Marcus and David wanted to know what I'd found. I told them the call was a hoax. A cruel prank from someone who knew details about my childhood. I said I was wrong. I said I was sorry. I said I wanted to go home. They believed me. Or maybe they just didn't want to argue. But I kept the letter. And I kept the money. And every night, I lay in bed and wondered if Sarah was okay. If she'd ever come home. If we'd ever see each other again. The second goodbye was harder than the first. Because the first time, I thought I'd lost her. The second time I knew I had. She wasn't dead, but I still had to let her go. The hardest goodbye isn't death. It's knowing they're alive and you can't keep them. The strangest part came afterward. I had to pretend that everything was normal. I had to show up at family gatherings and act like I'd accepted the death of my sister. I had to let my parents talk about her in the past tense. I had to nod along when they said how much they missed her. I had to sit through holidays with a secret burning a hole in my chest. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them all the truth. But I couldn't. I made a promise to Sarah. And I kept it. But sometimes, late at night, I would dial her number. It always went to voicemail. And I would leave messages that she would never hear. I would tell her about my day. About Marcus. About the garden I was planting. About the ache that never quite went away. It wasn't closure. It wasn't healing. But it was something. Years passed. The calls stopped coming. The number was eventually reassigned to a stranger whose voice I didn't recognize. I stopped dialing it after that. But I never deleted it from my phone. I couldn't bring myself to. And somewhere out there I knew Sarah was still running. Still hiding. Still alive. I used to think grief was about losing someone. Now I know it's about something else entirely. It's about the weight of a secret that you carry alone. It's about loving someone so much that you're willing to let them go, even when every part of you wants to hold on. So that's how I lost my sister twice. The first time, I thought she was dead. The second time, I knew she was alive, and I had to let her go anyway. If you've ever had to keep a secret to protect someone you love, you probably understand why silence can be heavier than any confession. And if you've ever gotten a call from someone who wasn't supposed to be alive, you already know that some answers are harder than the questions. If this story stayed with you, hit that like button and subscribe to Zarabell Stories for more narratives about love, loss, and the truths we never see coming.